From CBSSports.com, 8 players entering a make-or-break 2023 season. One of the categories, former early picks in danger of being busts, and they go Elijah Moore. It's a little harsh. Moore wasn't used by the Jets, but Moore should have drastically more dynamic play from his quarterback. That's an understatement. Amari Cooper in the mix. Moore will not be asked to save Cleveland's offense. If the light doesn't come on this year, though, Moore will be dangerously close to being considered a bust, former top 35 pick. Also on this list, fifth-year option players who could sign a huge extension or play on a different team next year, and they go Jedrick Wills. If his downward trend continues, don't be surprised if the Browns opt for either an early 2024 draft pick or DeJuan Jones and Jack Conklin at tackle next season. Let's start with Moore. He played with Zach Wilson and Joe Flacco. And they drafted Garrett Wilson and brought Corey Davis in ahead of him after he played pretty well as a rookie. So if I'm sitting there in his shoes, I'm scratching my head as well.
There's a reason the Jets traded for Aaron Rodgers. I mean, that's the number one thing I think you could say about Elijah Moore and why he struggled. There's a reason they traded for Aaron Rodgers 2 years after drafting Zach Wilson second overall, when I think, everybody, up until like 3 weeks prior to the draft was thinking they should have gone Justin Fields. And, it's clear that Wilson wasn't quite what the Jets needed him to be. And, looking at these numbers, looking at the numbers right now, Moore is 80 target receptions off 142 career targets. When that seems like a very disproportionate number, and I think that's due in a large part to the fact that, he didn't have good quarterback play with the Jets. And I think sometimes when you're a young receiver, unless you're a Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson, you kind of sometimes are dependent on your quarterback to really, give you a chance. Because, I mean, if you're a receiver, they can't just hand the ball to you. You got to be able to have it thrown your way. And Moore, I think, when you catch the football, good numbers, 12.3 yards of reception, certainly has dynamic ability, but you put him out there with Deshaun Watson, you put him in a situation where he's not the number one guy, you put him with Amari Cooper down with Peoples-Jones, you put him in the slide, you put him outside, David Njoku's also there, Marquise Goodwin's also there, all these flurry of options are out there. I think this is a chance for Elijah Moore to really show, what he's capable of doing. This is a guy I really like coming out of that 2021 draft, but, like you said, just with who he had thrown to him, didn't really have as much of a chance as some other guys would have, I think.
And when you talk about Jedrick Wills, yeah, I can't argue. This is a big year for him. He was hurt a couple of years ago, and then last year it wasn't as good as you had hoped for if you were the Browns.
Yeah, I mean, you're the left tackle. You're a 10th overall pick. It's time to go. It's time to step up and be a Pro Bowler. I feel like I'm not as down on Wills as some other people are. I feel like he's at least still a solid offensive tackle. May not be what you hope for out of the 10th overall pick, and in that way, I can understand the consternation about it. But I think at the very least, he still has upward trajectory. I mean, this is a guy, heading into his 4th year in the NFL, but he's still a young guy. I mean, you're talking about a guy in Jedrick Wills, he just turned 24 years old a few weeks ago. So he's still kind of young in a sense, should be entering his physical prime right now. We're getting close to it. That 5th-year option is extended to him, gives the Browns 2 years to really get a look at him and see, can he be that guy they drafted him to be? And if not, Browns finally get back into the first round of the draft in 2024. It's still way too early to get any idea of, how that class is going to look. But, if the pressure is going to be on Jedrick Wills to really perform, and if not, the Browns might have to start looking at, potential replacements in 2023. They still have that 2nd-round pick, or even in 2024, when Wills comes off that rookie contract. So Wills has got to show something this year, I think.